Good morning, I'm Maiki Oreta and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world. The headlines: the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is being cautioned against making aggressive rate cuts due to the country's weaker external position. Bank of America is relaunching its fixed income, currencies, and commodities business in the Philippines. Canada boosts ties with the Philippines as it prepares to send its largest trade mission later on this year. And Masungi Georeserve co-founders Anne and Billy Dumaliang make Time Magazine's Next Generation Leaders list for 2024. First, let's take a look at the financial markets. Over on Wall Street, the Dow Jones extends its record run on upbeat retail sales data and strong corporate earnings. The Dow gained 0.4%, marking its fourth record high in 5 days, while the S&P 500 and the tech-heavy Nasdaq remained largely unchanged. Optimism was driven by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, the world's largest contract chipmaker, which beat profit estimates, lifting other tech shares. U.S. retail sales also rose slightly, more than expected, signaling healthy growth in the world's largest economy.
I would say the general message is wind is kind of at the back of sales right now, going into the election and the end of the year. But don't ever underestimate the impact that a crazy U.S. election might have in any given day in terms of the markets. And for investors, just take a step back. And don't feel compelled to do anything right away if you see a gap down or a gap up.
Over in Europe, main indices near record levels after the European Central Bank cut rates as expected, but they didn't provide any new hints on their next moves. The UK's FTSE 100 rose 1%, Germany's DAX climbed 0.8%, and France's CAC 40 was up by 1.22%. Here in Asia, markets are mixed. Japan's Nikkei 225 is up by 0.5%, while South Korea's Kospi is down by 0.4%. Elsewhere, Australia's ASX 200 is down by 0.8%. In the commodities market, oil prices are up following the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Brent crude rose 0.2%, trading at $74.56 a barrel. This development in the Middle East has also pushed gold prices to record levels as investors turn to safe haven assets amid growing geopolitical uncertainty. Here at home, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is expected to continue easing monetary policy, but market volatility and inflation risks may limit the extent of these rate cuts. The Bank of the Philippine Islands lead economist, June Neri Jr., projects another 25 basis point cut in December, although several factors could alter this outlook. Neri highlights risks such as the possibility of the Federal Reserve pausing rate hikes, rising prices, and a weaker peso. He also notes that tensions in the Middle East are pushing up global oil prices, while extreme weather could disrupt food supply chains. Neri warns the BSP against making aggressive rate cuts, citing the country's weaker external position. He notes that a rapid reduction in rates could put more pressure on the peso, which has already fallen to 57.80 against the greenback, down from 55.80 just weeks ago. This decline comes as hopes for a large U.S. rate cut fade, further weakening the peso. Bank of America, one of the largest banks in the world, is bringing back its fixed income, currencies, and commodities, or FICC, business in the Philippines. Bank of America made this move because of the Philippines' strong economic performance and growing interest from investors. The bank last offered these services in the country in the early 2000s. Officials say this return completes Bank of America's services in Manila. It will also help them support clients better as they navigate changing markets and look for new investment opportunities. Canada is sending what can potentially be its largest trade mission to the Philippines in early December, with a powerhouse delegation of 450 officials representing 250 companies. The Manila Bulletin reports that the trade mission will focus on sectors like agriculture, clean technology, energy, green mining, ICT, and infrastructure. The visit will also mark the opening of Export Development, Canada's office in Manila. EDC provides financial solutions and expertise to help Canadian businesses expand into international markets. Last year, bilateral trade between Canada and the Philippines reached 2.4 billion Canadian dollars, or 101 billion pesos, with Canadian exports to the Philippines growing by 71% over the past 4 years. This trade mission is significant for both countries as it strengthens economic ties and opens up new business opportunities for Canada. It also offers a chance to expand into one of Southeast Asia's fastest growing markets, the Philippines. Now, while the Philippines will benefit from investment and expertise in key sectors, this will also support economic growth. On another front, Australia is set to invest over 20 billion pesos to help the Philippines reach its development goals. This is outlined in the Development Partnership Plan launched by both countries, aimed at enhancing stability, boosting inclusive economic growth, and increasing resilience to social, economic, and climate-related challenges. Australian Ambassador Hae Kyung-yu says Australia has been providing 4 billion pesos in annual assistance to the Philippines, with expectations of expanded support under the new partnership.
Australia has been a long-standing and reliable development partner to you. Building on that fantastic track record, we're about to do a major step up. For the first time, we are actually launching a long-term plan that actually outlines where Australia's effort is going to be when it comes to development outcomes.
The Philippine Competition Commission is proposing new rules to speed up the review of deals that are unlikely to harm market competition. The Commission says these guidelines will apply to mergers and acquisitions where companies have no direct competition or supplier-customer relationships. It will also cover deals involving foreign companies with little business activity in the Philippines, as well as real estate joint ventures. This matters because it will help businesses complete deals faster, saving time and resources while still making sure competition in the market remains healthy. The PCC will accept comments on these proposed rules until October 25th. Now, the third quarter earnings season is officially underway, with two major banks reporting record-breaking results. Ayala-led Bank of the Philippine Islands posted a net income increase of 25%, reaching 48 billion pesos by September, driven by strong revenue growth and positive operating leverage. Third quarter profit rose slightly by 0.3%, hitting 17.4 billion pesos, the highest quarterly income to date. Meanwhile, higher revenues and lower loans loss provisions helped billionaire Jacinto Nang's Asia United Bank achieve a record net income of 8.6 billion pesos as of September, already surpassing its full-year net income of 8.3 billion pesos in 2023. We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back to Basis Points Trading. At the Philippine Stock Exchange opened just a few minutes ago. Let's take a look at the initial figures. Right now, the PSE index is up by 0.5% to 74.34. This after snapping out of a two-day winning streak yesterday. The broader all-shares index mirroring the gains in the benchmark PSE index. It's up by 0.3% to 40.90. Now, we're seeing gains in the financials, industrials, holdings, and property counters, which are being offset by losses in the services and mining and oil counters. Now, at the foreign exchange market, the peso opens unchanged from its previous close of 57.80 against the greenback. In other news, FICC Mining, led by billionaire Manuel Pangilinan, announces that its Silangan copper and gold project in Surigao del Norte is on track to begin production in the fourth quarter of 2025. President Yula Leo Austin reveals that FICC Mining may raise $400 million to boost Silangan's production. The company also has an application to explore nickel in Pangasinan. Meanwhile, Global Ferro-Nickel is in talks with potential partners from China and Europe to develop a mineral processing plant. However, investors are waiting for the amendment of the mining fiscal regime, which is still pending in Congress. On another front, the SM Group, owned by the C family, is making a major investment in the Clark Freeport and Special Economic Zone. The plans to invest 2 billion pesos to develop a modern multimodal transport terminal aimed at improving public access to and from Clark, especially with the upcoming completion of the North-South Commuter Railway Station. The investment also includes expanding the group's hotel and convention center offerings within these economic zones. These projects are expected to enhance connectivity and boost economic growth in their respective areas. Billionaire Lucio Tan's Philippine National Bank reports strong investor demand for its $300 million 5-year senior notes issuance. The final order book was over 3.6 times oversubscribed, reaching $1.1 billion in demand, mostly from investors in the Asia-Pacific region. The bonds, which are part of PNB's €2 billion medium-term note program, offer a fixed coupon rate of 4.58%. Proceeds from this issuance will be used to fund the bank's sustainable financing initiatives. Now, Alter Energy, led by former Energy Secretary Vince Perez, approves a plan to consolidate its land holdings in preparation for a real estate investment trust or REIT listing. This follows the recent acquisition of Triple Play Land Corporation, which will serve as the platform for consolidating land used in the company's renewable energy projects. Alter Energy says that the acquisition of 3PL will not only simplify ownership structure, but also provide a means to raise capital. Singapore-based renewable energy firm Vena Energy is investing 19 billion pesos to build a 304-megawatt wind farm in northern Samar. The project will be developed by a special purpose vehicle that won a bid in the government's Green Energy Auction program. Construction of the wind facility is set to begin in December. Vena Energy currently has 6 projects in the Philippines with a total capacity of 330.8 megawatts. This investment is seen to contribute to the Philippines' shift toward renewable energy, boosting energy security, and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. It will also help the government meet its targets for clean energy generation. Now, hardware wholesaler True Value in the Philippines will remain open despite the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing of the U.S. chain. Robinsons Retail, chaired by billionaire Robina Gokongwei-Pe, clarifies that True Value Philippines is independently owned and operated by its subsidiary, Robinsons True Serve Hardware Philippines. As True Value US moves forward with plans to sell most of its operations to Indiana-based Do It Best Corporation, Robinsons Retail sees this as an opportunity to strengthen its Philippine operations and improve supply chain efficiencies. We're taking a quick break. Basis Points will be right back. Welcome back. China is expanding its list of housing projects that can get special financing to help fix its troubled real estate sector. Housing Minister Ni Hong says that the government plans to increase bank loans for these projects to 4 trillion yuan, or about $562 billion by the end of the year. This so-called whitelist lets city governments pick certain housing projects for quicker loan approval, making sure unfinished buildings get completed. Their government is also speeding up plans to redevelop cities, including creating 1 million urban villages to address housing needs. China has been working to rebuild trust among homebuyers as many still worry about falling home prices and their sluggish economy. Elsewhere in Asia, a Vietnamese real estate tycoon who is already on death row is sentenced to life in prison in a separate trial. Truong Minh Lan is found guilty of new financial fraud charges, including illegally raising over $1.2 billion through bond sales to investors. She's also accused of unlawfully transferring $4.5 billion into and out of Vietnam and laundering $18.1 billion. In April, Lan was sentenced to death in a $12.5 billion fraud case, marking the biggest financial scandal in Vietnam's history. Now, workers at Samsung Electronics factory in India returns to work after ending a month-long protest. More than 1,000 workers have been demanding higher wages and union recognition since September 9th. The strike was one of the largest labor disputes in recent years, challenging Prime Minister Narendra Modi's goal of attracting local manufacturing investment. In a statement, Samsung India welcomed the decision of the union to end the strike, but did not share the details of the settlement. The India factory, which employs about 1,800 workers, accounts for roughly a third of Samsung's annual Indian revenue of $12 billion. On another front, Canada's Alimentation Couche-Tard, the operator of Circle K convenience store, is looking to acquire Seven & I Holdings while keeping the Japanese operations intact. Bloomberg reports that Chairman Alain Bouchard is confident about overcoming any regulatory hurdles from a deal that would create the world's largest convenience store company. Despite their interest, Bouchard revealed that Couche-Tard has not yet met with Seven & I's management during their recent visit to Japan. This marks Couche-Tard's third attempt to acquire Seven & I after raising their offer to $18.19 per share, valuing the Japanese company at approximately $47.6 billion US. Couche-Tard is also confident that they can secure the necessary financing for the purchase. Now in France, cement giant Lafarge is going to trial for allegedly financing terrorism and violating European sanctions to keep a plant running in Syria. Lafarge, one of the world's largest cement companies and now part of Holcim, has been under investigation since 2016 for its operations in Syria. The investigation includes serious accusations that Lafarge may have been involved in crimes against humanity as part of a wider probe into how the company managed to keep its factory running during the Syrian war that started in 2011. France's highest court recently denied Lafarge's request to have these charges dropped. In a separate probe in 2022, Lafarge admitted that its Syrian subsidiary paid groups labeled as terrorists by the U.S. to ensure staff safety at the plant. This trial could have wide implications for global businesses operating in conflict zones, raising questions about corporate responsibility, ethics, and the legal risks of doing business in volatile areas. And before we wrap up, two Masungi Georeserve co-founders are named among Time Magazine's Next Generation Leaders of 2024. Anne and Billy Dumaliang are the only Filipinos included in the list of 20 trailblazers from around the world. Time Magazine highlights that despite the Philippines is consistently ranking as the deadliest country in Asia for environmental defenders, the Dumaliangs and their more than 80 rangers have persisted, undeterred by both physical and legal threats. Time notes that these threats come from property developers, poachers, loggers, and even the government. And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Maiki Oreta. We'll be back next week for more news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel, always on top.